In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at the weather around the world, but not only that, more in particular, the lower 48 of the United States, where we're going to be taking a look at the tropics. We're obviously moving very, very closely to August, which is a bit of an understatement because we're only a couple days away. And typically, August is going to mark the beginning of the really active period of the hurricane season in the Atlantic. Typically, that is towards the latter half, but we oftentimes do see activity in the beginning half. So we're going to be monitoring all potential systems there. We do see that the Eastern Pacific is really, really getting active. We have a high chance of tropical activity there over the coming week or so. So lots to talk about in the tropics. Obviously, outside of that, we do have our massive cool down to discuss for the first week of August, where things might really feel a lot more like September or October. A lot of lower 80s for the deep south, 70s as highs, maybe for the more middle areas of the central and eastern states. And then for the northern areas, this could spell lower 70s, maybe even upper 60s for some areas as high temperatures. So a really, really significant cool down, and for that matter, Arctic blast on the way. Let's go ahead and dive into the tropics though. Now we're going to watch this model run play out. We can see our MDR here, which is short for Main Development Region. This is the area between Africa and the Caribbean here. And we do see a little bit of activity on the southern end of this throughout this model run. This is the GFS model, or better known as the American model. And this one is going to show maybe a couple of systems wanting to kind of spit out of this region. And we'll be watching those closely. There's also going to be a couple of opportunities for some homegrown systems that happen either in the Gulf here or closer to the East Coast. Those are going to be a possibility as well here during the upcoming pattern. So let's watch this go ahead and play out. And we see some spinning activity there in our MDR that we were just talking about that does look to move more out to sea than anything. This is an interesting point in the model run here. This is by August 3rd. That cold front has rolled through, the one I was just talking about, bringing those fall-like temperatures. This is also going to bring a pretty nasty cold front with it, with lots of bad thunderstorms. Potential for severe weather is going to be there for a lot of areas. But not only that, we oftentimes see tropical activity want to form along these frontal boundaries. And this is going to mean that there will be chances throughout the northeastern Gulf here, or just offshore of the southeast, areas like that. Don't be surprised if we see a chance of development during that first week of August. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Let's keep going though. Again, that's August 3rd, 4th, 5th here. And we do see eventually this area want to start spinning up. This is August 9th. This is very far out, so take it with a grain of salt. This is about 11 days out, I think, or maybe even 12. We do see this just to the north of South America. Typically not a very favorable area. And this one's going to want to head over land in the form of Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Cuba. These large islands are known for breaking up tropical systems. So if it does track right over these islands, it would have a very, very hard time developing. Of course, I'm talking about this as if it's about to happen and not 12 days away. So please take it with a grain of salt. There's a really good chance that this storm doesn't even really end up existing in the first place. But what we're going to see as this model run plays out is that we actually do see it start to pick up some steam here once it moves over the Gulf, which is fairly common. That seems very practical to me. Although it's very far out and we don't even know if this system is even going to form in the first place. But it's worth noting that these models are showing some activity maybe coming from the main development region. That is kind of the main point here, worth noting. Now we're going to look at the Eastern Pacific here. And as you can see, we do have this code red area with a 70% chance of development over the next 2 days and a 90% chance of development over the next 7 days. So a very, very high overall chance that we do see development here in this furthest east area. We do see this orange one a lot closer to Hawaii really than North or Central America. And this one has a 60% chance of development across the board over the next 2 and 7 days, which might seem like a relatively low chance, especially when compared to that more eastern system. But 60% chance is a better chance than a coin flip. So there is better chance than not that we do see some form of development from this one. So two separate systems that are likely to develop here in the Eastern Pacific. Very interesting. we're going to watch the model run play out here real quickly. And we do see some storminess already here in this more western area, also some around for the more eastern area. So we're going to go ahead and watch this play out. So let's go ahead and start putting this into motion. And we do see some activity spinning up really quickly in this red area. But it's really this one that comes after that also has a chance of development. It looks like they both develop here. I mean, this system looks pretty healthy. This one too. So maybe even two separate opportunities for this same exact area of development. We see this second one really takes off. We actually don't see anything pop up in this orange one. So this GFS model is more in agreement with the 40% chance rather than the 60 of development. So pretty interesting stuff. We do see more activity move through this red area here by the 7th, which is what we're looking at now. Maybe that one's the worst of all of them, although that's very far out, but just goes to show that there is many opportunities for development right in this red area. Not just the one, not even just the second one, but even a third here during this GFS model run. So the Eastern Pacific is just about to turn on like a light switch here. And really see a lot of activity. So we're going to be tracking this daily with you guys. Let's go ahead and move over to Weather Bell, though, and take a look over there. And here we are taking a look at some of this upcoming storminess. Now, according to the European model, this is a little bit of a late video, so we're going to be taking a look at tomorrow first things first, Tuesday on the 29th here. We do see some isolated to scattered thunderstorms here throughout the southeast. Also, some of the Rockies and Plains here. Midwest, Great Lakes. Not going without thunderstorms either, but nothing crazy going on as far as tomorrow goes. By the time we reach Wednesday on the 30th, we do see some pockets that do look a little bit more concerning, like the Midwest here, as well as the Great Lakes. We do see the Deep South and Southeast seeing some heavier thunderstorms, might be scattered still, but really intense pockets of these storms are being picked up by the model. And still, this Rockies and Plains area is one of the more active ones as well. By Thursday on the 31st, it all starts to come together, and we do see this area here from the Central Plains into some of the more lower Midwest, kind of lower Mid-Atlantic areas, as well as the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast, seeing some of the most thunderstorm activity for Thursday. We also see this ridge building out west, as well as this trough in the east. It's starting to get going by the 31st. It's the very beginning of it. Friday the 1st, it does worsen. We do see a higher ridge out west, a lower trough in the east. So this is really starting to get its act together. It's worth noting, we've talked about this over the past few days, but there is this squeeze effect going on where the cold is really intensely pushing down on that hot, humid summertime weather that's really pushing hard from the south. And when those squeeze together, it causes the wind when they kind of, I'm trying to think of the perfect word, but when they just meet head to head, it forces that air upward. Obviously, the ground is downward, so it can't really do that as much as it can go up. So it just rises up, and that creates a lot of thunderstorm activity. And we are seeing a lot of this laid across the deep south and southeast here for the day on Friday the 1st. Also, the Northwest seeing quite a bit of activity, typically more of a fall winter time thing, but we are seeing more activity spread that way by the beginning of August. Saturday on the 2nd, again, deep south is where most of that thunderstorm activity is, as well as some of the Rockies here. Sunday on the 3rd, it's a little bit more scarce. We do see some of the plains seeing thunderstorms, some of the deeper southeast, but a lot less of it overall for the nation. By this point, also Monday the 4th looking quite similar, Midwest and Plains, deep southeast. And again, this is right around that area where we will be watching for potential spin-ups here as far as the tropics go off the southeast or maybe in that northern Gulf area, as that pocket of storminess wants to just kind of sit around. Tuesday on the 6th looks very similar. Wednesday the 6th. Did I say Tuesday the 6th? This Tuesday the 5th. Wednesday the 6th. Thursday the 7th. Again, very large areas dealing with potential rainfall, but it is more scattered about within there. We could tell by these grays and light greens. This model is showing large areas seeing lighter amounts of rainfall, but really what it's trying to indicate is even more localized heavy rainfall, with a lot of areas in there missing out on it. So we're seeing more isolated and scattered thunderstorm storm modes happening within these areas. There is some heavier pockets, but this is 10 days out, so it's very hard for the model to predict exactly where that would be. But we just know it'll be scattered around in the east, likely for Thursday the 7th. We are getting into the long range, so take it with a grain of salt. But for Friday on the 8th, we see the East Coast dealing with some of these isolated and scattered thunderstorms happening. Saturday on the 9th, they're mostly offshore as another cold front kind of rolls through. We'll again be watching some of these more tropical locations for formation. We do see a weaker low pressure system above the northern plains and upper Midwest that could bring some thunderstorm activity as well. Sunday here on the 10th, a lot of that activity around for the lower Midwest, central plains, kind of Kentucky, Tennessee area. Monday on the 11th, we're a little bit more scattered about. And same thing for the 12th here. It's really hard to break down. There is a low here over the south central regions of Canada. Could imagine that having a cold front and pushing a lot of this cooler air towards the east again. That's mostly if we see a warmer push up the west coast, which time will tell what ends up happening with all that. But those are a couple of dynamics that could take place. Let's go ahead and take a look at the total precipitation. And as you can see, decent amounts east of the plains. And that's really how things have been. A couple hot spots in the deeper southeast, maybe the northeast here. Let's take a look at the anomalies. And sure enough, we still see the plains, Midwest areas seeing above average precipitation, especially the northern plains, more central Midwest areas, and even some of the Ohio Valley. Some of the southeast in there and some of the northeast, but it is very hit or miss. I mean, if we were to look at this whole area here, I would say it's about 50-50 below and above average. So it is all over the place, but it just depends on your exact location. Here's some of the temperatures over the last 3 days, just to get an idea of the trend that we've been in. And we've had cooler conditions over the west with a warm push into the east because of that. This cool air pushing southward forces this warm air to wrap around and move up into the central and eastern states. We're going to see quite the opposite here in the upcoming pattern. So let's take a look at it. Obviously, today looks quite similar to the past 3 days, but over time, like the 31st here, we see a huge warming trend along the western coast and cooler air moving in rapidly to the central states quicker, but eventually to the eastern states as well here. So let's keep this going. And here by the 2nd, Saturday, this is a perfect example. Again, neutral to above average in the west. We call this a positive PNA. And much to the opposite of what we were just talking about for the past 3 days, we do see warmer temperatures pushing up the west coast, which forces the cool air around and down into the central and eastern states. And this is substantial. I mean, the models continue to worsen and worsen the cool air that we're expecting. I mean, this is 10 to 15 degrees below average for some of the mid-Atlantic, southeast, plains, Midwest. These areas with the greens and darkest blues, this is substantial amounts of cold air coming in compared to what's typical. So again, those very unseasonable, more like September or October temperatures are looking more and more likely for those first few days of August. And this does stick around at least until about like the 6th, 7th for the immediate East Coast. It's the last area to see it. And really, the model just gets kind of messy after that, where we see warm coast to coast. This is when this model gets kind of averaged out and it's hard to even take away. We are looking at 15 days out, so it's really unreliable beyond about 10 days. Because it is an ensemble model and it's multiple members put together and we get the mean average of it, they start to spread out their opinions, and that's when it gets a little wonky like this. I wanted to show you guys the GEFS model, the GFS ensemble model as well. And we see this cold air move in a very similar way. It's just even more intense on this model. Deep, deep greens. That's closer to 15 degrees below normal, maybe even a little bit more for some of these Midwest and Mid-Atlantic locations between the 2nd and 3rd. And that sticks around on this model till about the 7th, 8th, maybe a little bit beyond. So pretty similar to the European ensemble model. Obviously, time will tell, and we're going to watch this very closely as we have been for the past week, as you guys know. But we're going to continue to watch this and many more cooldowns to come as we descend into the fall and winter together. So be sure to subscribe so we can experience it all together. But also because we upload every single day, and you can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.